So this is what we call the clock drill. This is a drill that's going to help you get your arms and your wrists preset into a position that we're going to try to get you to feel at the top of the golf swing. But we're going to use the clock analogy as we go forward in this process as a way for you to be able to feel what the dynamic movement of the wrist really should take place in the swing shape. Now, I know a lot of you at home have shorter attention spans, but bear with me here. This is a video that requires us to give you a lot of information right now because you need to have an intellectual understanding as to what you're working on and why you're working on it before we teach you how to get it done. Most of the time, we see amateur golfers get the club out of position way too early on in the swing shape because they're trying to actively manipulate what they're going to do at impact. It's the wrong way to approach business. Now, when you hear me use that terminology, prepping the club on the way down into the hitting area, what we're trying to do is we're trying to establish a rate of closure in the club face that's going to keep the club moving through the point of contact where we can have some control of it. The best players in the world have slow rates of closure in the club face. Amateur golfers tend to get the club face rotating way too hard, way too fast because it's not in the right spot. But also at impact, what we're trying to do is we're trying to deal off the club a substantial amount. Now, if Jace were to take a setup in a static address position here, and Jace has got a fairly neutral grip. What I mean by neutral is the V in his left hand is up towards his right ear, and the V in his right hand is towards his right shoulder. If I told him I wanted him to take the loft off the golf club and keep his body very quiet, he would have to move his wrist in the direction of the target a substantial amount. You can see that this wrist is now anatomically flat, almost slightly bowed. Now that word bowing, or flexion as you hear us talk about, is a word that a lot of you get scared of. We see a lot of players with that bowed left wrist at the top of the golf swing. Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Colin Morikawa. Everybody's doing things a little bit different and for different reasons. It's based off of their DNA. We've been able to dive into grip patterns and wrist patterns and see that there is no two people that are alike. There's many different movements that help us square the club face in the golf swing. But today what we're going to do is we're going to help you work on a drill that's going to help you get into the right spot at the top of the swing and allow you to start to feel the natural shallowness of what is actually created through the wrists inside of your swing shape. So Jace, why don't you go ahead and take a setup for us and let's talk to them about what the clock drill really is. So I want you to imagine that as the golfer, you're going to have a clock directly in front of you and you're going to be looking at it here in just a second. I want you to go ahead and stand up vertically and I want you to lift your arms up to where your elbows are right at the base of your chest. Now what I want you to do is I want you to vertically hinge your wrists to get the butt end of the club pointing down at the ground. Now, if you visualize this clock directly in front of you, the club shaft and the head are right at 12 o'clock. If I told Jace I want him to move the club shaft and the head to 1 o'clock, what would that look like? You would see that the left wrist starts to rotate to get that to happen. Now, if I told him that I didn't want him to support the club at all with his wrist and let the club fall in this direction, how far would the club go? Well, it would keep going and going and going here, right? I want you to remember that we're going to try to get you to work up to the top of the golf swing at 1 o'clock. And when you start changing the direction of the golf swing with your body, we're going to let the club fall to 2 o'clock. And some of you are going to try to feel like it can fall to 3 o'clock as it starts to move left. That's the whole big piece of this puzzle that you're going to be working on. Now, how we're going to do it is what we're going to train you on here today. We're going to take that clock that's in front of you and we're going to put it behind you. Now, I want you to remember that the way the wrists function in the golf swing is that they're very dynamic. And a lot of you at home try to manipulate by flattening off the left wrist or bowing the wrist too early, and that's what gets the club out of position. In a good wrist pattern, we see a lot of players set up with a little bit of extension at address, and as it starts to work up to the top of the swing, it begins to flatten off. Some players don't get anatomically flat, some will. But when that change of direction starts to happen, that wrist, as the arms start to work their way down into the acceleration zone, that wrist is going to move from that little bit of extension into flexion. That should naturally start to happen if you're moving in the correct order and you're tension-free with your wrists in the correct spot at the top of the golf swing. That's the whole piece of the puzzle that's going to get you some success with this stuff. If you are brand new to the channel and you have not yet subscribed, do us a big favor. Head down below, take 30 seconds out of your day, and hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications. And like Jace just said, hit the thumbs up button. It's good for our psyche. Let us know in the comments below what you think of today's drill. Now, let's get to work and let's build a better golf swing. So here's how you do the drill. So Jace, take your setup, and the first piece of this whole puzzle is to preset the arms and the wrists and then work up to the top of the backswing and take a picture of this both with your camera and with your brain. So now go ahead and go into your golf posture after you scrub the club to 1 o'clock. And I want you to go ahead and make a good shift and a good turn up to the top of the swing. And we're going to take a picture of this position because it's perfect. The right arm's in a great spot, the wrist's in a great spot. This is a position that a lot of you are still gonna see small amounts of cupping in, totally fine. The reason why I want you to see this position on camera static is because your first goal is to do a practice session where you don't have to preset your wrist to get it in that spot. You're gonna be working from a static address position up to that spot. So we're gonna show you how to practice that now. So let's go ahead and preset it. Arms up, vertical club, scrub it to 1 o'clock, good. Golf posture, okay, good. Now what I want you to do from here is I want you to come back down to an address position, and I want you to go right back up to 1 o'clock. Back down to address, back up to 1 o'clock. If you can do this somewhere between 25 to 50 reps in a row, and you land in that exact same spot that you just took a picture of with your camera and your brain, then you are ready to start taking on step number 2. And step number 2 is now we're gonna move the clock from in front of you and we're gonna put it behind you. And you're gonna be seeing that 1 o'clock position now change to 2 o'clock as you start to move over to your lead side. So Jace, let's go ahead and demonstrate. Let's move up from a static address position up to 1 o'clock. Now with the clock being over here, I want you to scrub that shaft down to 2 o'clock. Perfect. What did your wrist just do?
Just bowed up there a little bit, a little flex.
Exactly. This is not a movement he's trying to make happen. He's releasing the tension in his wrist to allow the club to fall to 2 o'clock.
Absolutely.
He could let it fall further, but we don't need to. So now what I want to do is I want to have you start practicing that 1 o'clock, moving to 2 o'clock, but I want you to start shifting over to your lead side and bring your arms down in front of you and stop. So now 2 o'clock and shift, good, perfect. Now, if you can land in this position, this exact position as I'm about to outline it for you, you have now completed step number 2 in this process and you can start adding some fluidity to it. Your lead wrist position should be flat to slightly bowed, meaning your knuckles should be further away from the camera or the ball than your wrist bones. Your club should be sitting slightly in behind your hands with the toe of the club slightly toed down. Okay, that's the position that you are going to be working to try to move through and let the tension come out and start to release it. In a second video of this series, we're going to teach you how to actually work on different styles of releases and how to take speed out of it, how to hit different styles of shots with our ball striking series. But that's going to be coming later down the road. So let's go ahead and do one more rep just like that. So up to the top, 1 o'clock. Okay, let's let it scrub to 2 o'clock. Feel like the tension had to come out of the wrist on the way down.
Oh yeah.
Perfect landing spot. You should see your wrists, your arms, and the club all in this spot where it's in front of the trail thigh, the club shaft is parallel to the ground, and the club face is now prepped. Now what you can start to do is you can start adding some fluidity to this downswing component without stopping. Now we're gonna start swinging through. We're gonna start out this piece by still working from a static position though, just because we wanna give ourselves some time. Load up to the top. Now on the way down, instead of stopping, I want you just to swing through. So scrub to 2. Good, nice, really good, man. Try that one more time. Scrub to 2, good. Now, let's say you back check this stuff on camera and you're starting to see exactly what we've been looking for. Now you can start working from a static address position and you can start trying to move through these positions. How many reps you do of this movement to get it up to fluidity is based on your ability to stay connected to the movements and be able to back check this stuff on camera. If you're disciplined, you're gonna be able to start hitting golf balls on the Sooner side, and you're gonna know, hey, I can actually see this, I can feel this is a great drill for me. It helps me not only shallow the swing plane, which is super in vogue, but it helps me prep the club face like a tour player. That's pretty exciting stuff.
I think it's pretty exciting.
Try to contain your excitement. You try to contain your excitement at home as well. So Jace, let's run through the whole protocol, how you would practice it, and let's hit a shot.
Let's do it. So address the golf ball.
Scrub to 1, good. Good. Okay, good.
We'll go ahead and feel number 2 there.
Good.
Let's do 1 in fluidity.
Perfect. Good job. How's it feel?
Feels pretty good. I mean, it really is not lackadaisical, but it really does feel relaxed. And I'm not forcing this motion. If I just let the golf club, let the gravity of the club head bring the club on down, it's just gonna happen, right?
Exactly, and that's the key that gets this drill to come to life, and it takes a lot of trust, but if you're setting the club, if you're really working to that 1 o'clock position, then the inputs that you gave it down here should help you start getting a little bit more natural, right? It should become a little bit more second natured rather than thinking about each piece every step of the way. But getting in the right spot is going to allow you to start to release the tension to let the club fall there. So think about it as like a support system, and then getting out of the way of it and just thinking about letting the club do its job inside of your really good sequence. Let's go ahead and hit a shot. Let's get out of here.
Alrighty.
See that 1 o'clock position, let it scrub to 2. Ooh. That was a spicy meatball, huh? That was really good.
You're hired.
So that's how you get the club prepped for success. You get it de-lofted by allowing the natural flexion to start to take place. You allow that to happen because of what you're doing early on in the swing shape. You tie that back to really good lower half movement and really good arm function like we've been teaching over the last few weeks, and you're going to be a much happier golfer when it's all said and done because you're going to be welcoming yourself to the compression factory. We'll see you guys in the next video.